ARITA BAAIJENS. She will be my guide for the coming days. I've been told this empty and barren landscape has no secrets for her.
Okay, Redmond, we're going to put them down. I'll show you with the first how it works, and then maybe you can do the next. And you really have to show them, you know, what you want. Don't be too soft on them. Hier. 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 Hier.
Oh, this rope's caught up.
Hier. Hier. They're a bit nervous because they're not used to men.
Come on.
Hier.
Come on, sit. Yes, well done.
Very good. Wow. You learn fast.
Sit. Sit.
Take the third one also.
No, go on. Sit. 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 Come on. There you go. Well done. Well done.
I'll get us some. Would you like a sip of water, Redmond?
Yeah, I'd love some.
You know that you don't notice that you're thirsty in the desert?
Really? No, I didn't know that.
No, but you have to drink, otherwise you get a sunstroke. Yeah, push it.
If there is one person who should be able to understand Alexine's longing for adventure, it must be my guide ARITA. Like Alexine, she was bored by her everyday life in Holland. 25 years ago, she decided to give up her job as a biologist, and she started traveling with her camels through the desert.
It started with one very strong image. I was in a bus in Sinai Desert.
Yeah.
A Bedouin got out and he walked off. Just bam, straight into the desert. And I thought, this guy knows how to survive, how to find his way. And I felt like Alice in Wonderland, you know, I wanted to go down the rabbit hole and do the same thing, like this guy. I went into the desert, I bought camels, quit my job, and came here.
Huh.
And it was here that I learned about Alexine Tinne. And I was so surprised that there was a woman...
Like you?
A bit like me, but who had been born in 1835. And being here by myself, I had a lot of time to think. So she and other people were kind of my soulmates.
Yes.
I conversed with them while I was walking here.
You talked to her when you were in the
Yes, I talked
desert?
to her. And I loved it especially because people make us believe that explorers are exclusively men.
Yes.
Sorry, don't want to
Yes.
insult you, but...
That's right.
And to know that there were other women, you know, who did the same thing, more or less the same thing, was very inspiring. And so I started to read about her and learn more about her. Why did our Alexine Tinne not marry? I mean, the answer is obvious, right? She would have been confined to the home, so she wanted to travel, and she chose not to marry, and so she could do what she did.
Yes.
And as a man, you can marry
and do it
round.
It could have been the other way round, that she didn't particularly wasn't attracted to men and didn't really want to settle down and have children, domestic nonsense. She wanted to get out there in a very male way, and she became a general, really, with a huge number of an army.
Yes, with all these camels. Shall we? Shall I take out the map and we look at the route that she took, because she did something amazing in the Nubian desert.
Yes,
I'll get
good
you
idea.
the map. Yeah. So here we have Cairo and the Nile. You know, going this way, coming to Aswan. Of course, at that time, there was no lake, there was no high dam. And then they went down, down, down. And there are a lot of rapids here, cataracts. So they had to take a shortcut through the desert because the Nile makes a terrible loop here.
Yeah.
Like, you know...
Oh, so that wasn't just to save time for them? No.
Not only to save time, but also because of the cataracts. So they needed camels here and load everything they had on their steamboat and other boats on the camels and then go here. And I think it took them 18 days, right?
Yeah, 18 days.
Do you know how many camels
Yeah,
they had?
102 camels.
And what else?
Oh, 5 dogs, I think donkeys.
And what I'm so surprised about, because they had furniture with them, and beds, and mirrors, and books, and carpets, and tents, and this
engravings, pictures to hang in the tent.
Yes, and money. And all of that they took with them on these camels. And I believe there were other people waiting there, a caravan of traders, to go through the desert, because they needed Bija from here to guide them through the desert. And these guys had to wait because she had a letter of recommendation. So they just went first. They didn't care about all the other people. They thought, you know, it's us.
Yes.
We have right of way, and here we go. Yeah, it's getting a bit dark. I think we should make... should get going.
Well, you're in charge here.
Before dark, so that we can make our camp.
I'm taking orders from a woman.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful,
It's
Redmond.
very
I have you on your knees.
We'll have to hurry, and I have to admit, I have difficulties keeping up with ARITA's pace. Is it really necessary to run that fast? To be honest, I feel a bit ill at ease. Although ARITA seems to be very confident, I don't like the idea of being lost in the sudden darkness. That has, of course, nothing to do with her being a woman. So, I'll have to admit, it's a great relief when she tells me she has hired 2 men to help us make a camp. Although, I wonder how they will ever succeed in finding us here in this trackless desolation.
Well, this is my first night in a real desert, and I've no idea how cold it's going to get. But presumably this is how the Tinnes camp too, is it?
Oh,
without a roof?
No way. I mean, you know, this looks luxurious, but luxuriously, but you know, they traveled with tents. They had their furniture. They had beds. They had probably feather pillows and things to wash. And I mean, it must have been like a small village. You know, if I imagine how they dined, there must have been silver and tablecloths, and probably they dressed up.
Now, this whole vast caravan, 102 camels, was under the command of a young Nubian, Sheikh Ahmad. And Alexine writes about him once they'd reached Berber. In her diary, the desert was wonderful, often beautiful, full of peculiar plants and trees, and furthermore, I was in the delightful company of a sheikh who, quite as a favour, accompanied us to facilitate our travel and to keep the camel boys, who were sometimes difficult to lead, under his thumb. The sheikh, apart from my justified preference for Arabians, was a charming chap, gentlemanlike, witty and merry, and once the Arabian ceremonies and compliments were over, we became very close friends. Now, to me, that sounds like a love affair. Do you think that's possible?
I hope so.
Yes.
For Alexine, yes.
Have you ever fallen in love with a sheikh in your desert career?
No, but I couldn't keep my eyes off some of the beautiful, tribesmen, but I haven't had an affair with them because for me, traveling alone, respect of the people there is my only protection. But I really hope for her that she had her affair with
Yes, because she had 70 soldiers to protect her.
Yes.
I was thinking in the night, wonder what they wore. I think the answer is, look, this is Alexine, and something very like this, I think. Well, that's okay. at night, I mean, you'd have to take your hoops off, but in the day, how do they survive? And there's sand everywhere in my armpits and my crutch, and really nasty, nasty. But this is very much harder to survive in this environment than in a jungle. And have you come across dried dead bodies on your travels?
Yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. But they died really a long, long time ago, about 150 years ago.
Wow.
Although in
still preserved? Huh?
Well, the bodies weren't preserved, but their bones. I saw the bones and the guns that people had left.
Musket.
Musket, yes, and gunpowder. People often think that I...
Have you found any goodbye notes or...?
Yes, there was a note written by the man who died, but he wrote it with his blood, because he didn't have any ink, and it was written in Arabic, and a goodbye letter to his relatives, but it was found 150 years later, so I guess nobody ever knew where he had died.
Dying from thirst in this godforsaken desert? Writing your loved ones that you miss them in blood? Why on earth would you maneuver yourself into this kind of situation? Alexina loved it. The more danger, the better for her. Not long before her own gruesome death in a desert years later, she wrote to her half-brother John, "I don't find the thought of dying happily and courageously by a knife or a gunshot frightful, instead of dragging through a boring life as I have seen many."
Everybody said she was fearless, and that would be it. She was looking for extreme experiences. She might have been slightly psychopathic, as we'd say now. Perhaps she needed extremes. Well, she certainly found it.
I contest, there's nothing wrong about trying to find extremes. It's not like a disease or something. I really think that it's actually there's an enormous will to live, and you challenge your surroundings, but not because you want to die, but because you want to feel on top of things. I really like to live in the desert and to know if I make a mistake, I die. And it means that you live 200%. And sometimes the desert tells me, if you really want to be here, you're not going to get what you want. It's on my conditions.
Here we go. It's our turn. I feel like Alexina, or maybe better, like Henrietta the mother, who was more or less my age then. Riding the camel, by the way, is no fun at all. Aunt Addie hated it until they made a huge, comfortable sleeping chair for her and slung it between two camels. It took the women 18 days to cross the Nubian desert. With every step of the camels, they entered deeper into the unknown world of Sudan, hoping to reach the Nile again. Then, when we're almost at the end of our desert walk, I say goodbye to ARITA. From here, she has to go her own way back north with her camels. So, back on my own again. I'll have to find the Nile first, and from there, a boat to the city of Khartoum. So after 18 days on camels across the desert, they finally see the Nile. I remember from geography books at school, there's the Nile running north-south, and